And we're delighted to have a really super special guest in the studio this week. In your ears, well. I mean, what can you say about this man sat next to you, James?
Mate, I'm over chuffed, to use Carl Cole's term.
Ladies and gentlemen,
a hero.
Jack Collison. Welcome, Jack.
Hello, thanks very much for having me down today, fellas.
Oh, I mean, literally, the honour is all ours. I mean, James, a legend.
Yeah, you literally go down as like the most loved player. Whenever anyone mentions you, especially, and KUMB can be a right miserable place. When anyone ever mentions Jack Collison, it's like people well up a little bit.
Oh, bless. No, I appreciate the support, and the fans have been fantastic to me. So, no, as I said, thanks for having me down today. Anyway, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I was just saying, actually, there's a thing on the forum at the moment about Jack Collison, the man, and people just pointing out how much they love you. We have one here from FJ the Grey, who says, there aren't many players or people I respect more than Jack Collison. I would love to see him work his way back up the Premier League and get back on the pitch for us. I mean, that is the theme of all this.
Well, I suppose I better thank my mum for that one. I think she's created a few accounts, hasn't she? But no, I appreciate it, and I suppose that's the aim over the next couple of months, to get myself fit and try and work my way back up.
Yeah. When there was pictures of you at the club, I know you was getting physio there, a picture of the club, everyone was suddenly like, he's coming back, he's coming back. They're really excited.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I should have had a word with Big Sam, see if I could have wormed my way back in, especially with the Dubai trip coming up. And that, it would have been perfect, wouldn't it?
Oh, no. We should have invited you on our pre-season 2 or mid-season 2 centre parks. It would have been lovely.
Yeah, hopefully next time, eh?
A weekend in Rotherham.
Right, let's begin with some feedback. So last week we asked for rubbish statues to commemorate terrible moments in West Ham's history for the new Olympic Stadium. First one from Randy Hastings. A thank you note for the great entertainment on the pod. I'm a regular listener in Los Angeles, California. I've been Hammers obsessed for 15 years now. I would have a wall that is dedicated to Radoslav Kovac, Fat Benny McCarthy and Mido. That season 2010, that was awful. Memories of any of those players? Benny McCarthy?
Yeah, I enjoyed a season with him, actually. I was in and around him quite a lot. To be fair to Benny, he's a fantastic fella and a great character. And same with Kovac, actually. Mido, he didn't really do it, did he? So maybe keep quiet about that.
There was a lot of Benny McCarthy to be a big character.
It's a lot to love.
Yeah, a lot to love. He gave a good hug, to be fair. But no, he was a fantastic player in his prime, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always liked hearing the nice blokes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's always nice to hear.
And with Kovac as well, he's probably one of the nicest fellas you meet in football.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. This is quality insight, Jack. I mean, usually it's just a bloke from a pub who's been to West Ham games, but here we're actually finding out stuff. We had another email, another post on the forum. Andy Miller, how about a sprawling Steve Bacon for all the times he waved and brightened our day in the North Bank before kick-off? Jack, any special Steve Bacon memories? Was he there when you signed?
Yeah, he was there and floating about, but sort of disappeared as I got a bit older. But yeah, no, it'd be a nice one, wouldn't it? Eh?
Yeah, floating. That's not a word that's not often used.
When I used to go as a kid and see him on the pitch, I always thought that was the best gig, because I always used to get the Romford recorder, and he'd obviously take all the pictures of Romford recorders. So that was always like the best gig in my eyes, Stevie Bacon.
Yeah, no, he had a nice little number there, didn't he?
Yeah. What else do we have? Andy and
that was Andy Miller's Chicago Hammer.
This one. Where's the one? Oh yeah, the Chicago Hammer. This is probably my favourite. Could we get a statue of Neil Ruddock and Trevor Sinclair on top of some woman's Ford Fiesta during the Christmas party? That would be a lovely touch. Christmas parties, Jack. You were there. That was it. One in Dublin when you all dressed in white. Good.
Yeah,
what was the best Christmas party?
Oh, Lucas Neal was one hell of a party organiser.
Really?
He was fantastic. He was a brilliant captain, great to play for, and we're doing quite well the year we had a good party and ended up 10th in the league. So yeah, we had a couple of good ones. So yeah, the trophy would have to go to Lucas Neal.
Really?
Yeah.
What made him such a good party organiser?
Just very organised on the ball. We had a bit of a time plan, sort of stuck to it. Sometimes they go a bit off, but no, he was very well prepared and well connected.
And as a captain, in our eyes, he was one of our favourite captains, probably, wasn't he? What was he like as a captain?
Oh, he was amazing. For a youngster coming through, he sort of took his time to look after the likes of me and James Tompkins, who were coming through at that time. Put his arm around us a bit, and that season under Zola, I played sort of the right of a diamond quite a lot. So he was behind me shouting in my ear quite a bit, but it was fantastic for me to learn off of someone like that, and yeah, I owe him quite a lot, to be fair.
Oh, wow.
Are you still in contact with him?
Last time I saw him was when he was at Watford last season, so we had a bit of banter on the sideline, which was nice. But no, I haven't stayed in regular contact, but I'm sure he's doing well somewhere.
And isn't Nolan's a similar kind of character, isn't he, in terms of he seems to be a good captain?
Yeah, the boys love him. The changing room that between him and Sam Allardyce and the chairman they've built is a great place to be around. Even now, the foreign players who have obviously come in have settled in really well, and I think that's part of the reason why they come in and hit the ground running. Look at the likes of Valencia and Sacco. Been phenomenal this year. So a big part of that does go down to Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, good to hear. You need to really talk into your mic, I've noticed.
Sorry.
That's better. What else do we do? So we go on to the Quantum Leap, the Quantum Leap call out. So we were asking, if you could go back in time, change one moment in West Ham history, what would you change? Dieter Eckstein said he would change Freddie Canute versus Arsenal in 2002, hit the penalty to Seaman's other side. It could have all been so different. Worcester.
No, in fact, so he also said this is my favourite one. 91, Tony Gow. I'll just let Gary Crosby have a run on goal. He'll probably miss. I love it.
Or Worcester WHU not bringing on Manny Omoyimni in the semi-final of the League Cup. Yep. Jack, is there one moment in your mind, like playing for West Ham, one thing that happened on the pitch you think, God, could have really done without that happening?
For me, it'd probably have to be when I fell over and done my knee at Wigan.
Oh, Wigan, yeah.
Yeah, it might have been a bit different if that didn't happen. Yeah, I should have just headed it on instead of trying to bring it down on my chest. But get on with it. But yeah, for me, that would be the one moment.
Of course. So, I mean, in terms of, you mentioned your problem there, but does it all stem from that one Wigan game, that one moment?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Really?
It's kind of been a bit of a battle ever since then. I've had a good run and a bad run, and yeah, I've just been battling on and getting out of it what I can.
So what actually happened? Was it a kneecap issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, I dislocated my kneecap, which wasn't pretty, a bit painful, and getting abused by the Wigan fans, and ended up going back there on loan a couple of seasons later. So that was good fun. But yeah, it's sort of all stemmed from that, and it's been frustrating, but I've had a better run than most, and got to do more than most people say they had.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you turned out for Wigan, like you're saying, then you played in the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, managed to miss a penalty as well.
Was that getting your own back after the abuse when you were injured? Is it?
No, tell me about it. I've been practicing all week, and I quite fancy myself, and yeah, it just wasn't to be, was it? It was one of them situations, so hopefully I'll get a chance to put it right later on. Yeah,
cool. Right, expat Hammer had an idea. I'd pop back and stop Bonzo appointing Ari as his assistant. Iron Ear Lunga, I'd step back and step in and toilet Hayden Fox. No one likes a pissy bar, myself included. Another West Ham Christmas party story there.
Hayden Fox pissing against the bar.
Brilliant.
I love that. And then, in fact, my favourite was CM Ninja, who said, I'd jump into Scott Duxbury at university and spend less time dicking about in the student union and more time on my legal studies.
Brilliant. And then what's this one about from Pink Palermo, James, at the end? Explain this.
So this one, because generally it was, my idea of putting it out was that it was going to be, in fact, Nat Coombs mentioned it, didn't a couple of weeks ago, was to get like light-hearted ones. And a lot of people suddenly got really serious about it, and Pink Palermo, who's pretty good, I think, on These Other Down, but his is a little bit the harbinger of doom. He says, I'll jump into May 2016, the final game at the Boleyn, the day our club will change forever. I fear disaster beckons. Chin up, mate.
Jack, leaving Upton Park. I was just chatting to you beforehand. You said it's the first result you look for, West Ham. Do you think you're going to be there in some respects before, like in the stands maybe?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Hopefully I'll be playing football myself somewhere, but if not, I'd definitely like to be there. It's obviously going to be a bit sad leaving Upton Park, but I think if the club really want to go forward and start challenging the big guns, I think it's a move they've got to make, really.
Have you been to the new Olympic Stadium?
Yeah, I went there in the really early stages. We all went down there with the hard hats and that on, which was good fun. The plans look unreal, so yeah, it's going to be impressive when it's done. Just hope the fans take to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, having been at Arsenal on Saturday, the atmosphere there was so poor. I know Arsenal have had a reputation for not having very good fans.
The songs as well.
Yeah.
I think they took a bit of stick before the Arsenal worst set of songs.
Yeah. So it worries me that we may create a similar atmosphere in a bigger stadium. Yeah. Because when the bowling's on fire and everyone's singing together, it must be amazing.
Oh yeah, the place is rocking. But I think the way they're going, they're really looking to the future. Obviously, securing Tompkins and Reid and Noble on long-term contracts sort of shows the way they're looking. So hopefully, get a few more exciting players that will keep the fans happy, and hopefully, they can start challenging for Europe.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like favourite Upton Park memories, what's up there for you?
Oh, yeah, a couple of good ones. Probably beating Millwall in the League Cup. That was always a good one. First goal at Upton Park, although we lost 3-1, it was great to get on the score sheet that day.
I bet.
Yeah, that was a good one. So no, I had some great times at Upton Park.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we touched on Arsenal there. It was our last league game, and in a way, James, I don't want to focus too much on what's actually happening at the moment. I'd rather talk about Jack's amazing career.
We don't have loads to talk about.
I mean, Arsenal away, that's where you made your debut, wasn't it? For West Ham.
Yeah.
And I mean, the story is that you were at Cambridge, and Cambridge kind of dissolved their youth academy.
Yeah.
And you essentially had an audition for Tony Carr. And how did that happen?
Yeah, pretty much. I was gutted when Cambridge shut down their youth system, but then I found out West Ham were interested. I couldn't believe my luck, to be honest. And then got to meet Tony Carr. Had a trial game. Probably scored one of the best goals of my life against MK Dons, which always helps. And I suppose the rest is history.
So you had that game, and did Tony Carr come up to you afterwards and say, "We're going to offer you"? Kind of
yeah, kind of from then. I had a couple of other clubs sniffing around, but as soon as I found out West Ham, with Tony Carr's history and the players they brought through, there was only one place I really wanted to go.
So who's in your year then? So would it have been Tompkins?
Yeah, Tompkins was playing. He had played for the reserves a couple of nights before, so he was a bit of a superstar at the time. Really? Yeah, still at school playing for the Rezzies. Zavon Hines, he was brilliant that night. I remember he was twisting people up, doing stuff I'd never seen before. And obviously Freddie Sears and Junior Stanislas were the year below, so they had a pretty tidy youth team.
Yeah, and then so from there you get eventually Arsenal away. No, what was your debut? It was Arsenal away. Yeah, sorry. But you got called into the squad. Was it against Bolton? Like a couple of.
Was that your first start?
Yeah, my first start, Bolton away. We were terrible that day. Yeah. As soon as we went 1-0 down, I got dragged, and I thought, that's me. I'm never going to play again. But no, I still loved it. It was nice to make my full debut and to feel part of it. And it took a little while after that to sort of force my way back in.
Yeah. So I mean, did you see the Arsenal game on the weekend?
I was just saying, I saw the highlights, and Arsenal looked a bit warm, didn't they? They played some nice stuff. I suppose it's a frustrating time. Arsenal are always hard to play, especially on their own patch. They make the pitch so big, and I experienced it myself when we lost 5-1 the other season.
Yeah, but when we went 1-0 up, that was probably the highlight.
I put us 1-0 up. I was buzzing, and then same happens again. We ended up getting spanked. But I think that's Arsenal at the moment. They're on a good run of form. I'm sure Sam's got into the boys a little bit this week, and they're going to pick themselves up for a massive game against Sunderland.
Yeah, how is it post a loss with someone like Sam? How does he react? What is kind of would you get a proper bollocking?
Well, the Arsenal game you mentioned, when we lost 5-1, we were in the next morning at 7 o'clock for a meeting, I think.
Ooh.
Which is a little bit early for us, especially as it was a night game. So that was good fun. It just depends how we do. I think Sam, as I was saying, he's an honest person, and I think if you work hard and try your hardest and play well and don't always get the results, he's fair on you. And at the same time, if you don't quite put the effort in, he's the first to sort of tell you.
Is players quite scared of him, or is he quite? How is he around players? Is he quite matey, or is he a little bit?
He's very good. He can keep his distance at times, and other times he can have a bit of a laugh and a joke with you. I think he picks and chooses his time well, and I think that's why the boys have took to him.
Have you ever been on the receiving end of a Big Sam bollocking?
I'm sure I have a couple of times. I tried to block them out of my memory. Yeah, I'm sure I have. I've seen a few good ones, which is I'm like a school kid. I get the giggle so easy.
No.
He's giving out a bollocking. I'm trying not to laugh. But, no, yeah, it's quite impressive when he really goes for it.
I mean, so obviously it's probably worth talking about Sam for a little bit because he's under what's fair to say a great deal of pressure. Gus Poyet's been sacked today and he had 1 win in 12.
Yeah.
Big Sam 1 win in 12 at the moment. Casting your mind back to when he first came in, obviously we'd had the Avram Grant season. How was morale around the club after Avram Grant and then Big Sam coming in? What was that period of time like?
Yeah, it was a strange time to be at the club. For me personally, I missed the whole season under Avram and come back and played the last 2 or 3 games. And I know the boys who were playing, or especially the young boys, were hoping Kevin Keeman would sort of take over.
Yeah,
because he's a fantastic coach, and he obviously took the last games of the season, and the boys were buzzing and happy. And then Big Sam comes in, and it's a big name. And I'm not sure everyone sort of knew how to take it. And then he brought Kevin Nolan in, and he was the sort of bridge between Big Sam and the boys. I think he made the transition pretty easy. It wasn't good losing the first game of the season under him at Cardiff, but after that went on a pretty good run, and that season in the Championship was one of the most enjoyable seasons I had. And obviously it was good to play under someone like Big Sam, such a big character, and I enjoyed my time with him.
Yeah, I mean it ended successfully, especially for you with those goals in the playoff semi-final. Yeah, I mean. What a game that was for you. Yeah,
it was a cracker. I enjoyed that one. As you said, it was nice to get on the score sheet. It sort of put us in a good position coming back to Upton Park, 2-0 lead, and the only downside for me was I popped my shoulder in the second leg, so I could hardly move in the final, but I still enjoyed it. So.
It's funny like that the pressure of a playoff semi-final, but actually on the day against the second leg against Cardiff was like a day out.
That was for me one of the most comfortable moments I've ever watched West Ham. I just really enjoyed it.
I think everybody, it was good to play in that show. Was it Vaz Tay stuck us ahead early doors, didn't he, I think?
And Nicky Maynard scored a worldie.
Yeah, I think everyone was in a buoyant mood. We had a good run towards the end of the season, and we were confident, and obviously we got to the final and didn't really perform, did we? But got the result and got West Ham back in the Premier League, which was the most important thing.
Yeah, and that's what I think has been a difference under Sam, although not so much of late, but West Ham of previous years would never have played badly and won. In the playoff final, Blackpool deserved to. That second half definitely deserved to win, and yet we somehow won, and that's such a rare feat for West Ham to do, because traditionally we'll play badly and get spanked.
I think it was meant to be that year, wasn't it? It was a lot of pressure on us, a lot riding on it, and as players we knew that it was important that we got up at the first time of trying, and thankfully we did. And if you look at them now, they seem to have established themselves back in the Premier League and moving into the Olympic Stadium. They're going to be looking to move on.
And then you look at Blackpool. We're about to get relegated.
I know. Anyway, justice.
What was it like winning that playoff fight? How winning at Wembley? Like, as a fan, that was one of my favourite ever moments. Winning at Wembley was remarkable.
I think just the relief of the whole season as soon as that final whistle went. I don't know if you remember, about 2 minutes before the final whistle, I was having a dribble up in midfield and cramped up in both my legs, lost the ball, and luckily Winston Reid saved me, but Kevin Nolan gave me a hairdryer there. He said, "What are you doing?" But
didn't it, because you kind of pulled him down, didn't you? Like, you lost the ball.
I tried to rugby tackle him, fell on my dodgy shoulder, and then as soon as the final whistle went, it was just so much relief, and luckily enjoyed the celebrations on the pitch. And then I was rushed off for a drug test into the drug room, so I missed I was the last person to leave Wembley. Missed everything in the changing rooms. So
that is absolutely gutting.
That is gutting. I did the Wembley tour once, and they spoke about Lampard having when they won one of the cups there, he was pulled in for drug tests, and he can't piss post-match. It takes him like 2 hours to be able to go. Well.
Luckily, I managed to get a couple of beers and a couple of champagne, Sammy, but I was still struggling.
Are you allowed to send a drugs test for having a beer? It'll help.
Tested positive for Carlin.
Yeah, I think so.
But I mean, that day for a West Ham fan, it doesn't get much better than that. To be on the pitch, winning at Wembley. I mean, certainly it seemed like. If I remember, you had a flag like draped over your head.
Yeah.
To be on the pitch and to achieve that ultimate kind of promotion goal must have been just unbelievable.
Oh, it was great, and it was great to do it with that set of players as well. I already mentioned the team spirit, but we really had a close knit group that season, and it was great to do it with some of your best mates. And looking back now, it was a really impressive day and one that I'll never forget. So that was
good. Did you always think it was going to end in success that season?
It is a tricky one. We'd gone a good run, and then we had 8 draws at home, wasn't it? And it was a bit of a sticky period, but I'll have to say Kevin Nolan was magnificent in that period. Kept the boys going, kept the confidence up, especially for the likes of myself and James Tompkins, slightly younger, more inexperienced. It was good to have sort of wise heads around us. So it was good, and as I said, it was great to be part of making history.
That was odd, wasn't it? Because Reading came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, there was that day at Upton Park, wasn't it, when Jason Roberts. So did you were you playing that day? Was it?
I missed that game, but I played in the away game, and that was my only ever sending off.
Yeah.
Me and Joey O'Brien was sat in the change room like naughty schoolboys, weren't we? So we wanted revenge. There was a bit of a grudge going on with Reading.
Was it Lafonja? Who was it?
No, Kebe.
Who was your little thing?
Kebe, wasn't it? Jimmy Kebe. I was pulling his socks up and
So what happened? What happened in that moment? So he's got the ball on the touchline, and he pulls his socks up, and you
pulls his socks. I saw a bit of red mist, and I thought, right, I better slow down. And I hardly actually touched him by the time I sort of got there, and he obviously made a meal of it, and got myself sent off, which wasn't very clever, and I think I got a pretty good hairdryer that day, actually. So,
there is a grudge with Reading. They're still going. It was so satisfying seeing them relegated the other season. It was so satisfying. And I'm not one who revels in other teams. I always feel a little bit upset. Yeah. Where I don't revel in people's relegation. F Reading.
Yeah. No, it's harsh, but I suppose it's football, isn't it?
Yeah. Was there many players you had a kind of Kebe-like rivalry with?
Me personally, not really. I'm quite easygoing. I just try and enjoy it when I'm out there. It's obviously the best job in the world. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, there is a few grudges that I've probably witnessed up close and personal, which is always nice to see. I have a bit of a giggle about it.
Does Tonks get involved in many? He seems quite easygoing as well.
Yeah, no, it's similar for him. He loves playing football. He can lose his head on the pitch every now and then, but he's been magnificent this year, and it's nice to see him get rewarded with his new contract.
Yeah. And Winston with his new contract. Yeah. What is he like as a character, Winston? He never smiles.
Really?
Have you ever seen him smile?
Yeah,
every picture. Every picture, he looks so miserable.
Oh, bless it. No,
the one picture I've seen him smiling is when he's with you, that meal the other week.
Yeah, that's the only one.
That was good fun.
I thought it was photoshopped.
No, he keeps himself to himself a little bit, Reedy, but he's been fantastic last 2 seasons, and I think managing to secure him, it looked like he was going, I think, a couple of months ago, and it's great to get him signed up for 6 years or something?
Yeah, 6 years, long time.
What happens when there's a player like that in a team who's obviously haggling over contracts and might be going elsewhere? Is it unsettling for players, or is it kind of you just get on with it?
I think the players just get on with it. It sometimes turns into more of a joke. I'm sure the boys would have been on him, bantering him, calling him greedy, and it's just
Winston
like
Greedy.
being in Winston Greedy. But no, I'm sure the boys would have been just messing about with him, and I bet they're all delighted that he signed it.
Yeah, definitely good news.
And what about? Obviously, we were talking about a youth academy earlier. There's been a lot of chat about players not coming through as good as kind of when you guys came through. Do you think that is just? Do you think it's tough for players to come through now these days? What's it from perspective of being on the inside?
Yeah, massively. I think it's near on impossible for a youngster to come through. We were fortunate enough. We had Zola in charge, and he believed in the youth, and that was his philosophy to try and bring the youngsters through. And it wasn't just myself, it was James Tompkins. You look at Zavon Hines, went on and done well. Injuries have held him back. Junior Stanislas, Freddie Sears doing really well at Ipswich. So it was a good time to be in and around the club. obviously now I think there's so much pressure on every game. If Sam loses 2 or 3 games on the bounce, they're calling for his head. So it's hard to bring a young player through, I think, and put him in that situation. And it is a shame because they've got some fantastic youngsters at West Ham. Seen a couple of them popping up on the bench. Nice to see Josh Cullen on the bench on the weekend. He's one for the future. I think Elliot Lee could be a superstar if he gets his chance. So it'd be interesting to see how the last few months pan out. Maybe I get an opportunity to chuck a couple in. You never know.
Yeah, well, we're almost safe. Might be.
I hope he does, because that's what everybody wants, isn't it? But you never know. And you're doing your own stuff for the youth, because you're running your own academy. You've got your own academy now.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of injuries, and it's best to keep yourself busy, I think. So I thought, what am I going to do? I sat down with my friend and thought, right, let's create a soccer school. We've done it, and it's been brilliant. The first one was great, really good fun, and the 3 days I spent with the kids out there on the pitches was probably the most enjoyment I've had in God knows how long. And it's nice to see the young players out there with the enthusiasm and just the love for the game, without all the nonsense and the politics that come with it.
And what kind of age group is it?
We're starting as young as 7 now, going up to 14. We started in Bedfordshire because that's where I'm from originally, so I thought best to start at home. Start it up. It was great. And in the Easter half term, we're coming to Essex. We're going to Chelmsford and Shenfield, and also branching out to Peterborough, because that's where I begun my career.
And when is it?
Over the Easter half term, we got 2 weeks. If you go online to the www.jackcollisonsoccerschool.com, all the info's on there, or follow us on Twitter. We're trying to get their follows up and get the word out. But for me personally, it's nice to train the kids, see them develop, but if I could find 1 or 2 gems and sort of try and help them develop and find a route into professional football, that'd be one of the most pleasing things I think I could do.
Maybe act as an agent, get 10% if they're that good.
Yeah, it'd be handy. It'd be nice to find a Gareth Bale or something, wouldn't they?
Just get them into West Ham, though.
Well, it'd be nice in the Essex area. I know there's a lot of good kids, hopefully get a good few turn out.
And what about, so it must be weird, like going from player to kind of coach in a kind of coaching capacity. Is that something you'd have your eye on, like longer term, like maybe management as well? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I love being in and around football, one way or another. Hopefully I'll get back playing in the next couple of months. The aim's to start next season with a new club, but definitely long term I'm doing my badges over the summer as well, so I'm going to get started now, so when the time does eventually come for me to hang the boots up, hopefully I'll be ready to go into it.
How long do badges take to do until you're fully qualified?
Oh, you can do about 1 million badges now, so I'm doing my UEFA B this summer, and then probably look to do the A licence maybe the following year or the year after. I think for me, I've worked under some fantastic managers, so I'll try and take their best bits and put it into what I'm learning, and as I said, for me, developing especially young players is something that's a real interest for me.
You mentioned work with some fantastic managers. What has Avram Grant taught you about being
about massage? About the best massage parlours.
About the best way to get a kick.
Up to bar.
Poor old Avram. I unfortunately I missed pretty much the whole season.
Oh, you weren't the only one.
My first start back actually was the Wigan away game after my long-term injury, and obviously he got sacked that day, didn't he? So I only got to play a couple of games under him, but it's a bit of a blur in the history, I think.
When you've got a manager like Avram, and I'm sure he's a nice bloke, and I'm sure in the right place he can do a good job, but do players sense that it might not be going the way you want it to be going? I don't mean just with the results, but is there a general feeling that we're stuffed?
It was a strange one that season, because the squad of players, I think we had near on 25, 26 players, and the squad was brilliant. It should have been at least halfway up the table, I think. But it just didn't seem to happen, and then looked like it was going to pick up at one point, a great escape again, and it was just one of them seasons. But maybe it was a good thing for West Ham to go down, reboot, start fresh, get a new manager in, and build up from there, because I think the year in the Championship was good fun. It was nice to win more often than you lose.
Well, so, I mean, we loved it. But some people talk about they'd rather win the Championship than the Premiership. Some fans do, which I always think is mad. I enjoy, it's always good when we're down there. I just don't want to stay down there.
If you know you're going up, it's fine.
If you can get relegated, guaranteeing you're coming up the next season, do some kind of deal.
Did you notice, like, going from the Premier League to the Championship? I mean, how much was it evident that it was a drop in class? Like, did you find you had more time on the ball and?
Or just kicked more?
It's a strange one. I think the tempo of the games are even higher in the Championship than they are in the Premier League. It's a funny game at times. I've played at Old Trafford away and got more touches on the ball than I have at Doncaster away. I think you get the real wow players and the players who do special stuff, obviously playing in the Premier League. But the standard in the Championship now, especially with a lot of the young British players, are kind of got to make their way in the Championship before they force their way into the Premier League. So the standard's still good, and it was an enjoyable season down there.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kevin Nolan a minute ago, and I mean, he's one guy who's getting a lot of kind of stick at the moment from West Ham fans. I mean, first question is, how aware are you as a player of like that kind of getting that stick from West Ham fans when, you know, against players of your own team?
Yeah, I think at times it's hard not to notice it, and it's hard knowing what Kevin Nolan's like as a person, knowing how much he puts into it and how much he wants the team to do well. If he's doing well, great, but he really cares about what he's doing. So it's frustrating as a player to see one of your peers and your teammates getting stick like that, but it's part and parcel of the game. I was saying earlier, if you're not doing it, the fans pay their money, so they're entitled to their views. It's just not nice seeing one of your mates get it, really.
I mean, the thing is, we always hear like from people involved in the club that he's such a good captain in and around the dressing room. What is it about him that kind of makes him a great captain?
I think it's his personality, the way he brings people in, especially the new signings. He's the first one to put his arm around them, try and make them feel part of the group. And then in training, he's training like he's playing in a game. So if you've got someone like that setting the standard, I think Scotty Parker was probably the best ever at that. But in training like a game, it sort of rubs off on the boys, and you want to be in and around it and enjoy it. And if training's at a good level, then you're going to hopefully take it into the Saturdays.
Yeah. And Scotty Parker, what was it like to play with him?
It's unbelievable. We were just having a chat earlier, and for me it was great to play with him at possibly the peak of his career. Them 2 or 3 seasons he had where he won Hammer of the Year and was breaking into the England team again after a long absence. It was fantastic, especially as a youngster. You look to your left, you've got Scotty Parker stood next to you, kicking people, breaking up play, doing his turns, and then passing you the ball. It was brilliant.
Doing his turns. We used to say that, like, he had one kind of standard turn where kind of pull it behind him.
You couldn't get near him. It was brilliant. It was a low centre of gravity. But he's one hell of a player. He still is now. You see him last week, the way he played for Fulham was brilliant. So as a youngster, it was great to play alongside him.
Yeah, in fact, last season he played excellent against us, didn't he?
Yeah.
But that
typical.
Was it Boxing Day?
Way,
no, it was New Year's Day, wasn't it?
New
Year's Day.
Yeah, unbelievable. People, they annoyed me a little bit because West Ham fans were kind of giving him a bit of stick on the other team, but he'd won Hammer of the Year like a bunch of times.
It shouldn't have gone Spurs.
But you were in were the boys putting pressure on him not to go Spurs at that time?
Yeah, definitely. I know we had dropped down, and he played and scored in the game at Watford.
Yeah,
the
night before.
We won 4-0, I think, and everyone was buzzing. We just think, right, if we keep hold of Scotty, we could have this league wrapped up by about January, February, and obviously he popped off to Spurs, which was disappointing. And unfortunately for him, he didn't really sort of kick on how he was hoping to, I think.
Yeah.
So, it was disappointing, but I think what he'd done for West Ham the past few seasons, he sort of deserved to go without any.
He doesn't get much stick, to be fair.
Nah, it's only
he gets a handful.
It seems to be getting marginally better now, I think. I mean, they released information at the Olympic Stadium, the new hospitality suite, and one of the pictures had a big picture of Scott Parker behind the bar. I mean, that's a sign that it's getting better.
Or misjudged marketing.
I mean, one of the kind of going back a bit further, one of the crazy periods in West Ham's history was when you were first breaking into the team, and there's like the Icelandics were around, and Freddie Ljungberg's coming in, Kieran Dyer, and all that kind of mob. What was it like around that time? Was that a a crazy period.
Yeah, it was great. I was fortunate enough that I was training with the first team most days from a young age. Sort of Alan Pardew stuck me and Tompkins with the first team pretty much straight away, which was fantastic for me. And then we started signing players that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You look at Freddie Ljungberg, what he'd done at Arsenal.
Yeah,
didn't really do it at West Ham, did he? But
didn't you come on for him? Was that your first match where you came on for injured
I did. Yeah, it was nice to come on for someone like him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He didn't come shake my hand, mind. He went straight down the tunnel. Yeah, not that I hold any grudges, but
he was off to his bank.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah. But no, them sort of players who signed at the time, it was very exciting. Even the likes of Lucas Neal linked with Liverpool, and then next thing he's turning up at West Ham, so it was great.
Yeah, nice time. Quick word on Pardew. Obviously, he had a lot of stick at Newcastle. He's gone to Palace. He's beaten them all at the moment.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, what are your memories on Pardew?
He was brilliant. As I mentioned, he was keen to bring the young players up as soon as he thought they were ready. Chucked them in at the deep end, training with the first team every day. And even little things like the cup final, obviously everyone remembers it. Me and Tonks, we were 17 at the time, travelled with the first team, stayed in the hotel. So we got to get a real taste of what it was like being in and around it. And I think from that it just drove us on to sort of want to try and break through and be part of it even more.
Yeah, well, did you do the pitch inspection before the game?
Yeah, we went out there with Kevin Keane, had a kick about. I think that we were getting pretty full up just before the warm-up, and we sort of rocked out in our West Ham gear. We thought, I felt like a bit of a nugget to be fair. So we thought, we don't know whether to have a wave at people or what. I was nervous kicking a ball about then, but it was one hell of a final, wasn't it? It's just a shame how things worked out, eh?
Yeah. What was the dressing room like after the game? Were you?
No, we weren't allowed back in afterwards. We got the warm up out on the pitch. Then we had to go watch it, and then I was halfway down the motorway, I think, by the time the boys were finished in the dressing room. But it was heartbreaking, wasn't it? I mean, being part of it, training with the boys every day on the lead up to the FA Cup, and it was just a shame, but it was great to be part of it, and I was very thankful to Alan Pardew for sort of bringing me along.
Yeah, and the following season he kind of had a fall from grace. What happened, do you think?
I don't know, strange game football, isn't it?
Because we had Tevez around, Mascherano.
That's what I mean. It was strange when them two turned out. I was playing reserve games with Mascherano. I was loving it. So for me that was great.
What was he like? Like he was playing reserve games. Was he like, I can't believe this?
I played for Argentina.
What's happening?
I know. I think I had to skip his armband as well. So I bet he was thinking, who are these nuggets playing football with me? But no, it was great to get a couple of games alongside him anyway.
I bet.
Yeah. Obviously Tevez, brilliant, wasn't it? What he went on to do.
Yeah.
It's nice when he comes back, the reception he gets.
Yeah. Have you ever bumped into him since?
Well, I don't think he remembers me. I think I was a bit of a nobody, so I'll probably give him a wave and get a custard pie, but no, he's gone on and done some great stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Is it true Mascherano got lost one day on the way to the train ground? Was like wandering around Chadwell Heath, like trying to...
I didn't hear that one, but it wouldn't surprise me. The boys' English wasn't the best when they were there at the time. So,
What was it like watching Hayden Mullins keep him out of the first team for a period?
It was strange, but I really liked playing with Hayden and training with him. I thought he was good, steady, and obviously he ended up doing well towards the end of that season. I remember he come in and the Spurs game done well, and then he played, didn't he? So but it's strange when you look what Mascherano's gone on to do. And I suppose as football, it's opinions at the end of the day, and people are always going to have different opinions. So
and the man who replaced Alan Pardew was Alan Kirbishley for a time. That was the great escape, and by now you're getting closer to that first team. What was that kind of period like? That must have been crazy.
Yeah, well, for me it was probably the most frustrating time. I felt like I was close, felt like I could do a job. I was travelling every week with the first team to not be on the bench, so I sat there eating chocolate and getting fat, watching the boys playing, and it just happened week after week. And then I thought, right, I'm going to get myself out on loan, and I nearly went on loan to Peterborough. Mark Noble got an injury, so I had to stay, so I was gutted again, and then sort of eventually broke through. But that was good. He's an experienced manager and another manager that I sort of take things away from and try and put him into my game.
Yeah, and so Zola was the one for you that kind of got you into that first team, right, and really kind of cemented your place. I mean, what was he like to play for?
He's brilliant. I don't think the boys could quite believe it when he come in, when he rocked into training, and it was just, he's a legend, isn't he? One of the best players ever to play in the Premier League, and I don't think anyone could quite believe he was going to be coaching us. And then the first day in training, I've said it so many times, we're playing a game in 2-touch, the ball's pinged into him, he's Cruyffed, I can't remember, he nutmegged someone, and then he dinked Rob Green from about 20 yards. And the boys just stood there in amazement, and I think we gave him a round of applause. And he apologised and was generally sorry, not to show off. I think he felt bad for showing us how good he was compared to the rest of us. And I remember when we were struggling towards the end of the season, we were trying to get him to play, but he wasn't having none of it.
Well, that was the rumour, actually. There was a rumour that because we had a striker crisis, didn't we? Like, we had a big injury.
He was probably still the fittest man at the club. He was on his yoga and Pilates every morning. He walking about with his 8-pack, best player in training. The boys were pretty much begging him to come and play. So.
Do you think he could have done a job, like, seriously?
I think he definitely could have done a job. I think you look at what Teddy Sheringham done towards the end of his career. He was still fantastic in the games, and the way Zola used to train, it was unbelievable to watch. If you ask any of the other boys who were in and around it at the time, I think he must have had 15 out of the 20 lads just saying, come and play, you could take my place, sort of thing. But as a manager, he's fantastic as well, and I think it's a bit of a shame how things ended up working out under that one.
Yeah, we're all very fond of him, aren't we?
I think that's the thing. The criticism was that he was too much of a nice guy, that he wasn't. I mean, was that true, or was that just?
I don't think so. I think the atmosphere he created, he had 20 players who'd run through a brick wall for him, which probably showed how we played towards the start of his first season in charge. We probably should have got into Europe that year. Second year, I think he would have turned it around if he was given a bit of time, but it's unfortunately that's what the Premier League's like. There's so much pressure to win games, and it wasn't to be. But for me, he was the best person to play under, and I know a lot of others felt the same.
And so when that season ended and we survived, was there kind of an atmosphere like he's not going to be here next year? Was it obvious at the end of the season?
I think so. I think there's a lot of talk in and around, and people sort of know what's going on. And yeah, it was a shame, especially for the young lads who he brought through, because he was the one manager who took his time after training to not just care about his starting 11 and maybe a couple of his subs. He was out there doing extras with some of the youth team boys, trying to improve them technically, because he generally cared for their welfare and wanted to make a name in the game. So yes, for me it's a shame West Ham let him go, but it's football, people move on, and I'm sure he'll learn from the experience.
Yeah, it hasn't quite worked out, has he? I swear.
Was it Cagliari? He's just been sacked again,
didn't he? So it's a strange one. It'd be nice to see him back in England. You never know, might pop up at Sunderland.
Which we should talk about, actually.
What, the Sunderland job?
No,
you're throwing your hat in the ring.
I'm available. It's tricky Monday to Friday, and every other Saturday I'm at West Ham home.
Yeah, brilliant.
Those are my terms.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
So I mean, the pressure of managers, it's telling. Gus Poyet, like we said, 1 in 12. Do you think Big Sam will be manager at West Ham next year?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. For me, it's a bit of a strange one that nothing's been done. I know they've said they're going to wait till the end of the season, but why wouldn't they give him something now? They're signing the players up, so I think we just have to wait and see. I mean, the fans in the club must be grateful for what he's done anyway. He's got them back in the Premier League, got them stable, and now they've got a base to really build on.
But one thing the fans say is that he plays long ball, and I know you probably heard these chants where West Ham United play on the floor. Is there any truth to that? Does he ever go knock it long?
I think every manager's got their own style and how they want you to play. Zola was tippy tappy. Yeah. Big Sam obviously wants you to be a bit more direct, but I mean, some of the stuff the boys were playing this season at the start of the year was fantastic. It was a pleasure to go and watch. So yeah, I wouldn't say he wants you to play long ball all the time. He just wants you to be direct. He says if you get the ball in the other end, you've got more chance of scoring up the other end. You're not going to score when you're on the edge of your 18-yard box, which makes sense.
Yeah. If it was up to you, do you think the time is right for a change, or would you keep Big Sam in there?
I think for what he's done the last couple of years, I think give him a chance. See how he goes. You got, was it another year till you go into the Olympic Stadium? I think what the club are going to do between now and then is going to be exciting. Player wise, just see what they do manager wise, really. So
yeah, I mean, that's it.
Well, you know my thoughts on it.
Go on, why are your thoughts?
Well, I think he should stay.
Yeah,
I've always said this all along. I think we've had a terrible run of matches against all the top teams, the majority of which, other than Chelsea away and Arsenal away, we've played really well. You know, and we haven't played so well against the lower teams like the West Broms and the Palaces, unfortunately. But I think he's going to be he should be judged from here on in a way, because we've got a lot of winnable matches, and these are the matches we should be winning coming up. So starting with Sunderland, and I know I've just changed their manager, but we should get a result, really. And then you know, if we have a really poor end of season, he's got no excuses. In a way, he's fighting for his job. And I really hope we go on a lovely little run there and get another kind of 15 points. Yeah. Because I'd love to see him stay. Yeah, I've said it again.
Well, we were saying, like, we're putting a good run together. Jack, this time last year, I think we'd just come off a really good run of like 4 wins, and then we were off to Dubai. I mean, a quick word on that Dubai trip. How many lagers did you sink?
Yeah, it's a good trip. I think the boys need it to let off a bit of steam. They're still training out there, still doing their bits and working hard, but it gives you the opportunity of a bit of team bonding. You might get a night out or a couple of afternoons on the beach or something, which is good for team spirit.
Yeah, Nolan looked nicely tanned.
Well, but we noticed this.
Yeah, he catches
browner than everyone.
And Neil McDonald as well. I thought he had a bit of a tan in the interviews on Saturday, didn't he?
It's the Northerners, isn't it?
Yeah,
a bit of sun. They're out there.
I know,
in their pants. No, I'm all for it. A little bit of a break. Why not? It's funny. People criticise everything, don't they? But why not? They work hard.
Do you get like there's a Dubai Hammer supporters group? Do you ever see them knocking about?
Oh, is there really?
Yeah. Do you ever see him like hanging around?
Me personally, no, I haven't seen them, but I think there was a few come down to training the year before when we went. So yeah, I'm sure there's a couple out there watching the boys train this year.
Yeah. Well, speaking of training, you've recently put on Twitter that you're working your cock off. Your words.
Didn't I could say that. Wicked.
How's it going? How's the training going?
Yeah, I have been working very hard. I've had my fair share of injuries, so I'm quite experienced now of sort of knowing my body and trying to listen to it a bit more. I think at 20 years old I wasn't in the position to be a bit more selfish and take the extra time, but I've had a few offers to go back into it between now and the end of the season, but I've sort of looked at it and thought it's not really worth pushing it. I'm going to use the extra couple of months to get myself right. Come pre-season, come July, hopefully I'll be flying, be stronger than ever, and look to get somewhere then. Yeah,
what sort of, I mean, where have the offers come from? Is it all English clubs or?
Yeah, pretty much. It'd be nice to get out to America at the moment, wouldn't it? I think.
I know, right?
I was watching the MLS yesterday thinking, I could have a bit of that. So yeah, hopefully in July, I'm sure teams are going to sit down and look at what they've got and where they are, and hopefully there's a space for me somewhere. So I'll definitely be ready. So I'll just be waiting.
Yeah. So we'd love to see you back.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, also in terms of holiday plans, I know Andy Carroll, Carlton Cole and all that went to Las Vegas last year. You and Tompkins, Benidorm, or?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Depends. Hopefully he'll pay for me now he's got his new contract. You know what I mean? So, that'd be nice.
His hand in your pocket.
Yeah. I was just saying earlier, I'd be a bit unfortunate. I'll be working my hardest come sort of June time. So if I am going to go away, it'll probably be over the next month or so.
Yeah, love it. Anywhere in particular? Dubai?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Hey, it's a bit warm for me out there, so we'll see how it goes.
Stay in Trevor Sinclair's house out there.
Yeah, has he got one out there?
Yeah, on the Palm. The story is that the team were given one with the England squad. David Beckham was offered a house.
Ask him this, whether it's true or not?
Yeah, he said it's true. He said
in The Secret Footballer, the book The Secret Footballer, he wrote that when Beckham got at the World Cup in 2002, wasn't it?
Was offered a luxury villa on the Palm in Dubai, and he said, "I'll accept it if there's one for every member of the England squad." They all got them. Trevor Sinclair's the only one who still lives in his.
I'm not surprised. I'll be out there. Wonder if he's got room in his garage for me.
Well, he's back now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of punditry.
Yeah, well, we launched
Since he's on the podcast.
He came on the podcast and he's been on Match of the Day too. So, Jack, this is probably the
yeah,
start
no,
of
I'm looking for a bit of work actually the next couple of months. So if anything comes up, give us a shout anyway.
Well, yeah, you've got a TV bigwig beside you now. Sort him out.
Yeah, no, any chance. More of a face for radio, I think. But,
Celebrity juice. Keith Lemon attack you.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, Jack, thank you very much for your contribution today. It's been wicked to have you in the
Yeah, it's
studio.
been amazing.
No, thanks for having us, fellas. Anyway, it's been enjoyable. So we'll see how it goes.
And that level of insight we've never had.
Yeah. And so talk us through, if you want to get involved in the soccer schools,
Right.
give us a website.
Get yourself online, jackcollisonsoccerschool.com. Easy to remember. We're on Twitter, Jack Collison Soccer School, and we're on Facebook. So go on there, get involved. Lots of courses over the Easter half term. So especially the parents, drop your kids off, come pick them up later in the day. So
lovely, yeah.
So, and it's in Chelmsford.
Yeah, Chelmsford and Shenfield are in the Essex ones. Any Bedfordshire Hammers, we're over at Robert Bloomfield School. And the same in Peterborough as well. So we're looking to really go for it. Be nice to get one in Dubai, wouldn't it? I
Yeah.
At Trevor Sinclair's garden.
Yeah.
That's the plan. And you're on Twitter, Jack, right?
Yes, I am now. Yeah, back in the game after a long layoff. So I've been back on the last few months.
Why did you come off it? Because you got abuse?
No, the fans are normally quite fair on me, to be fair. So I just come off, fancied a break, and I thought, right, get myself back in the game, and it's good fun. I like, Coley's brilliant.
Coley got the fight, 20 grand fine, was he?
He's great. I think the fans should all club together and pay his fine. He's good value, I think. On
he's good. We love him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you're kind of having this period out of contract. You could happily tell everyone to f off.
Yeah,
maybe you just on his behalf.
Yeah, I could get a bit controversial. Actually. Yeah, we'll have a think about that one.
What is your Twitter?
Just J Collison 31 it is, yeah. So J Collison 31. So have a little look.
Beautiful. There we go. James is on Twitter.
Long as one.
Thank you very much for your contributions today.
Pleasure. Why did that sound sarcastic?
I don't know. It's just my general tone. You can the various ways you can get in touch with the show. Podcast at KUMB.com. You can also go on the Knees and Mother Brown forum, the Knees and Mother Brown Facebook group. Follow myself, Chris, on Twitter at CJ Scull, Scull with a C. And you can
subscribe on iTunes.
Subscribe on iTunes. And the editor of Knees and Mother Brown is KUMBDOTCOM on Twitter. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jack. Like I say, pleasure. Thank you for all the great memories down the years, and hopefully we're going to be witnessing many more, just not against us.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I'll do a few months elsewhere, then come back to West Ham.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.